I kept checking the ring box in my pocket like it might disappear if I blinked. My hands were shaking, but I told myself it was excitement, not fear. Tonight was supposed to be perfect. I'd even rehearsed the lines in my head. "Mr. Carter, your table's ready," the host said. I smiled. "Thanks, she's already here, right?" "Lila Bennett." He nodded toward the corner booth. I followed his gaze, and my world stopped. Lila was there. But she wasn't alone. Ryan sat across from her, his hand over hers. They were laughing, leaning close like the rest of the room didn't exist. My stomach twisted. For a moment, I thought maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe they were just talking. Friends talk. Friends laugh. Then I heard him say, "You know he's going to propose tonight, right?" Lila bit her lip, smiling. "I know. That's what makes it complicated." The air drained from my lungs. Ryan leaned closer. "You could just tell him no. Or, tell him the truth." "The truth," she whispered. "That I'm in love with you?" I froze. Every sound in the restaurant, vanished plates clinking, soft jazz, all gone. Just their voices echoing in my head. Ryan laughed softly. "Guess it's out now." Lila smiled, and I swear I felt something inside me break. I turned away, gripping the ring box so hard my fingers hurt. My heart was pounding, but I couldn't move. I wanted to storm up, shout, demand an explanation, but all I could do was stand there like a ghost watching his own death. "Ethan," the host's voice snapped me back. "Would you like your no?" I muttered. "No, I'm leaving." I walked out, my legs heavy, the cold air outside hitting harder than any punch. Outside, the city lights blurred. I stood there, trying to breathe. The ring box was still in my hand. I opened it, stared at the diamond that had taken me months to save for. "You idiot," I whispered to myself. "You really thought she'd say yes?" Someone brushed past me. I barely noticed. I was lost in a fog of disbelief. My phone buzzed Lila. I stared at the name flashing on the screen. For a second, I almost answered. Then I let it ring until it stopped. Another text popped up. "Lila, hey, are you coming? I thought you'd be here by now." I typed, "I saw you," then deleted it. Typed again, deleted again. Finally, I wrote one word, "No." I shoved the phone in my pocket and started walking. My chest felt hollow, like something had been scooped out of me. It started to rain, not hard. It's just enough to make everything blurry. Maybe that was a good thing. By the time I reached the parking lot, I was soaked. I leaned against my car, staring at nothing. Ryan, my best friend. My brother in all but blood. I remembered our late-night talks, how he helped me plan this proposal. He knew everything where, when even the words I wanted to say. And Lila. She smiled at me this morning, told me she loved me. She kissed me like nothing was wrong. I laughed a bitter, broken sound. Guess everyone's an actor now? The car door creaked as I opened it. I sat there, hands on the steering wheel, unable to start the engine. My mind kept replaying her words. "I'm in love with you." I slammed my fist against the wheel. Why Lila? Why him? There was no answer, only the rain against the windshield. My phone buzzed again. Another message. "Lila, Ethan, please call me. We need to talk." Talk. About what? How long she'd been lying. How many times she smiled in my face while sneaking behind my back. I tossed the phone onto the seat and started the car. The headlights cut through the rain, blinding and sharp. I drove without knowing where I was going, just away. Away from her, away from everything. The world outside blurred into streaks of light and water. I kept thinking about the ring, about the look on her face when I imagined proposing. The tears she'd never shed, the promises she'd never keep. A voice inside me whispered, "Go back. Confront them. Make them see what they did," another voice said. "No. Let silence speak for you." I chose silence. I pulled over near the bridge where Lila and I once sat for hours talking about the future. The irony hurt. I took the ring out again, holding it between my fingers. "You said forever," I whispered. But maybe forever was never meant for me. The words came out like a sigh, soft and final. I tossed the ring into the river. It disappeared with a quiet splash. For a moment I just stood there, letting the cold air hit my face. Somewhere behind me, a couple laughed, their voices blending with the rain. I smiled, a small, broken smile. Lucky them. When I finally got back into my car, the phone was still buzzing. I didn't look. I just drove, leaving everything behind. The lies, the love. The laughter that wasn't real. That night, something in me died quietly. And maybe something else began to live. I didn't open the curtains for 3 days. The light felt too clean for what was left of me. The phone buzzed again. Ava. For the 5th time that morning, I let it ring. Then Grace knocked. Ethan, sweetheart, you need to eat something. I'm fine, I muttered, staring at the cold coffee on my desk. Her voice softened. You've said that every day. You're not fine. I sighed. Mom, please. I just need time. Grace stepped in anyway. Her hand touched my shoulder. Time won't heal what you refuse to face. Face what? That she lied? That my best friend stabbed me in the back? I already know. She sat beside me. You still love her, don't you? I laughed bitterly. Love? I don't even know what that word means anymore. Grace reached for the photo frame on my table, Leela and me at the beach, smiling like idiots. Pain is proof you cared, she whispered. I looked away. Then I must have cared too damn much. For a moment, silence filled the room. Then she said quietly, Don't drown in what's already gone, Ethan. She kissed my head and left. When the door clicked shut, I stared at the photo until my vision blurred. My memories came in flashes, the way Lila used to lean on my shoulder, the way she said forever like it was a promise carved in stone. I slammed the frame down. Forever's a joke. My phone buzzed again. Ava, I'm outside. Open up. I ignored it. A minute later knocking. Go away, I called out. Too bad, she said. I brought coffee. I dragged myself to the door and opened it. Ava stood there with 2 cups and a look that said she wasn't taking no for an answer. You look terrible, she said flatly. Thanks, I muttered. Nice to see you too. She shoved a cup into my hand. Drink, you smell like misery. I almost smiled. You didn't have to come. I did. Because if I didn't, you'd keep sitting in the dark talking to your walls. I'm fine. She crossed her arms. If you say that one more time, I'll throw this coffee at you. Oh, that made me laugh. Just a little. You wouldn't waste good coffee. Try me, she said. Now get dressed. We're going out. I don't want to go anywhere. I wasn't asking. Half an hour later, we were sitting at a small cafe downtown, the one Leela and I used to go to. I didn't tell Ava that part. She stirred her cup. You've been off the grid. You want to talk? No, you should. It'll help. Talking won't change what happened. Maybe not, she said, but keeping it bottled up will destroy you. I looked out the window. They were laughing, Ava, like I never existed. Her eyes softened. I'm sorry. That's cruel. Keep thinking I'll wake up and it'll just be a bad dream. But it's not, she said quietly. It's real. And you're still here. I nodded. Yeah, barely. A few minutes passed in silence before a rough, older voice came from the next table. Sorry, that son, the man said, turning slightly toward us. I couldn't help overhearing. I blinked. It's fine, he smiled gently. His namatag, said Mr. Brooks. You sound like someone who gave his whole heart. Maybe too much of it, I said. He nodded. People who break others for love never keep what they steal. His words hit like a quiet thunderclap. Ava looked at me, then back at him. That's deep, she said. Mr. Brooks chuckled. Experience. I've seen a lot of hearts come through this place. Some leave heavier, some lighter. But yours, he pointed gently at me. Yours still beats. That means you'll be fine. I didn't know what to say. For the first time in days, something inside me stirred. Not anger, not grief, just something. He stood, picking up his tray. Don't let the wrong people teach you to hate the right kind of love. When he left, Ava leaned in. You okay? Yeah, I said slowly. I think I am. Or maybe I will be. She smiled. That's progress. I looked at my reflection in the cafe window, tired eyes, messy hair, but alive. Maybe he's right, I said quietly. Maybe I'll be fine someday. Ava reached across the table and squeezed my hand. You will. One coffee at a time. For the first time since that night, I managed a real smile. Thanks for dragging me out, I said. She grinned. You can thank me when you start acting like a human again. I laughed softly. Don't hold your breath. As we stepped out of the cafe, the sun broke through the clouds. I looked up, feeling the warmth touch my face. For the first time in weeks, it didn't burn. It healed. Ava's voice came through the phone, sharp and cautious. Ethan, don't look at it. Look at what? I asked. Scrolling before she could stop me, there it was. Leela and Ryan. A perfect picture of them holding hands at some charity gala. All smiles and flashbulbs. True love always finds a way, the caption said. My chest tightened. Ava sighed. Damn it, Ethan, you saw it. Yeah, I muttered. I saw it. You promised you wouldn't check her stuff anymore. I didn't. It found me. Someone tagged me in the comments. Guess he dodged a bullet. She went quiet. You okay? I laughed bitterly. Define, okay? Ethan, I'm fine, I lied. Really just another picture? Just another reminder I was the idiot in their love story. She hesitated. Do you want me to come over? No, I don't need babysitting. Fine, but don't drink tonight. I won't, I said, already reaching for the bottle on my desk. After we hung up, I poured a drink. 1 became 2. 2 became 4. The room blurred around me, but that photo burned clear in my mind. Her, in the dress I once said she looked beautiful in. Him wearing my smile like he stole it. I opened my phone again. Her latest post read, Sometimes life gives you a second chance at real happiness. Second chance? I muttered. You mean my friend? I started typing. You didn't even wait a month? Delete. Typed again. Hope he was worth it. Delete then. I hate you. Delete. My reflection on the black screen looked pathetic. I laughed to myself. What am I doing? The silence answered. I grabbed my old notebook, the one I used to jot random thoughts in, and opened a blank page. The pen felt heavy. All right, I whispered. If you won't hear me, then your ghost will. I started writing, Dear Lila, do you still laugh the same way when you lie? I used to think that sound was honest. I was wrong. I keep seeing you in places you're not, on the couch, at the door, in every song I used to love. You've become a ghost that doesn't know it's haunting me. I stopped and took another sip. Ghosts don't apologize, do they? I muttered. They just linger. The words started flowing faster. I saw your pictures. You look happy. I guess I should want that for you, but I don't. I want you to feel what I felt, the silence after you walk away. The weight in your chest when you realized the person you trusted was playing a different game. The ink smudged under my fingers. My handwriting got messier. Do you think of me? Even once? Or did I disappear as icily as you smiled for the camera? I stared at the page until the letters blurred. The bottle was almost empty now. God, I sound pathetic, I whispered. Talking to paper like it'll talk back. But I couldn't stop. You said I was your forever. How do you unlove someone who made you believe in forever? The question hung there, raw and sharp. I underlined it twice, like it might give me an answer if I pressed hard enough. The clock ticked. Outside, rain started again. It always seemed to rain when I broke. My phone buzzed. A notification, Leela's news story. I opened it before I could think. She was laughing, her head on Ryan's shoulder. Music in the background, something upbeat. I slammed the phone down. You win, I said quietly. You get the world. I get the ghosts. The notebook lay open, waiting. I wrote one last line. Maybe I was never meant to keep you. Maybe you were only here to teach me how much losing can hurt. Then I closed it. I sat back, staring at the ceiling, the world spinning slowly around me. Congratulations, Lila, I whispered. You finally made me feel nothing. But that was a lie. Because when I looked at the notebook again, my chest still ached, like it was missing a piece I'd never get back. The room smelled like whiskey and rain. Somewhere between the two, I started laughing, quiet, bitter, almost hysterical. You're not real anymore, I said to the empty air. You're just a story I keep rewriting. No answer. Just silence. The kind that fills every corner and makes you realize you're the only one left in the room. I leaned back, eyes heavy, and whispered one last time. Good night, ghost. Then I turned off the light. Ethan. I looked up, half-dazed, coffee in hand, eyes red from another sleepless night. Daniel. Wow, it's been forever. He laughed softly, the sound oddly grounding. You look like hell. What happened to the sharp kid who used to outwork everyone in my office? I smirked faintly. He drowned somewhere between heartbreak and unemployment.
Ow!
Daniel's smile faded. I heard about what happened. The engagement, the job. You deserved better. Well, I muttered. Life's not taking requests right now. He leaned against the counter. Listen, I'm setting up a branch overseas. New project, clean slate. I need someone who can handle chaos. Interested? I blinked. You're serious? Completely. You were one of the few I could count on. Think of it as redemption, if you want. I hesitated. My gut twisted. I don't know, Daniel. I'm barely holding myself together. Leaving everything behind might be exactly what you need, he interrupted. Sometimes you have to move to remember who you are. I didn't answer, but his words hit something deep. That night, I told Ava over dinner. She frowned, setting down her fork. Abroad? You're actually considering it? I don't see a reason to stay, I said quietly. Every corner of this city screams her name. Maybe distance is mercy, Ava sighed. Running away won't heal you. Not running, I said. I'm rebuilding. She studied me. Then do it for yourself, not to prove anything to her. I don't even think about her anymore. Ava raised an eyebrow. Really? You just said her name in your eyes? I exhaled sharply, caught. It's not easy, Ava. I know. She reached across the table, squeezing my hand. But maybe this job is the universe's way of giving you a restart. Don't waste it. A week later, I was on a plane. The hum of the engines drowned out the chaos in my head. I stared at the clouds, feeling both terrified and free. When I landed, everything felt different. Colder air, unfamiliar faces, a new language humming around me. It was like stepping into someone else's life. Daniel met me at the airport. Welcome to your clean slate, he said with a grin. Ready to work? As long as I don't have to think, I muttered. He chuckled. Then you'll fit right in. The days blurred into nights. Work became my escape. I learned, failed, improved, and pushed harder. My laptop became my confessional. Code and plans replaced heartbreak. Ethan, you're still here? Daniel asked one night, seeing me hunched over my desk at 1 a.m., couldn't sleep. I said, might as well make insomnia useful. He smiled knowingly. You're not just rebuilding a career, are you? I looked up. Maybe I'm trying to prove I can exist without her. You already are, he said simply, walking away. Weeks passed. My mind grew quieter. The ache dulled into something manageable. I started smiling again. Small, fragile smiles that didn't feel like lies. One morning, Ava called. You sound different, she said. I feel different, I replied. Like the fire's still there, but it's finally burning for me. That's my boy. Her tone softened. You know, you don't have to hate her to move on. I don't hate her anymore, I said. I just don't recognize her. She was silent for a moment. That's growth, Ethan. Later that night, I scrolled through my phone out of habit. A headline caught my eye, workplace romance turned sour. Marketing duo faces scandal. Their names jumped off the screen, Lila and Ryan. For a second, my chest tightened. Then, surprisingly, I laughed, not out of spite, but relief. Guess the universe really doesn't miss its timing, I murmured. I put the phone down and turned back to my laptop. The cursor blinked, waiting. I whispered almost to myself, let them deal with their storms. Mine already passed. The night outside was quiet. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. For the first time in months, the silence didn't hurt. It healed. My phone buzzed at 2 a.m. The name on the screen made my stomach tighten. Sophie. Leela's sister. For a long minute, I just stared. Then, against every rational thought, I opened the message. Ethan, I know I shouldn't text you, but Lila's not doing well. She pretends she's fine, but she's not. Ryan's changed. Please don't ignore this. I set the phone down, heart thudding. Not doing well, I muttered. Now that's poetic. The next day I couldn't focus. My mind kept replaying Sophie's words. By evening, I gave in and called her. She answered on the first ring. Ethan. Yeah. What's going on? I asked, trying to sound detached. She sighed. Lila won't talk to anyone. Ryan's controlling. He checks her phone, gets jealous over everything. She barely goes out anymore. A bitter laugh escaped me. Didn't she trade loyalty for excitement? I know, Sophie whispered, but she's paying for it now. Her voice cracked, and despite myself, something inside me softened. Why are you telling me this? Because you were the only person who ever loved her, right? She said. And maybe she needs to hear that again. I went quiet. The idea twisted my gut. She made her choice, Sophie. Not asking you to fix her, she said quickly. Just don't hate her forever. It's eating you both alive. After the call, I sat by the window, city lights flickering like old memories. I thought of Lila's laughter, the way she used to trace circles on my hand when she was nervous. Then I thought of that night, her smile across the table, meant for someone else. I whispered to the empty room, You built your dream on my ruin, Lila. Was it worth it? For a long while, silence answered. Ava called later that week. You sound distant. Something wrong? Sophie texted. I said, Oh no, she groaned. Please tell me you didn't reply. I did. I just wanted closure, I said quickly. She told me Lila's miserable. Ava paused. And how does that make you feel? I rubbed my temples. Conflicted. Part of me feels sorry for her. The other part thinks she deserves every second of it. That's normal, Ava said softly. You're human. But don't confuse pity with love. I'm not sure I know the difference anymore. She was quiet for a moment, then said, You once told me revenge was about getting even. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's about getting better. Her words sank deep. Getting better, I repeated. Maybe that's all that's left. That night I opened my journal, the same one I'd once filled with heartbreak. This time, my pen didn't shake. You broke me, Lila, but maybe breaking was necessary. I wouldn't be who I am without the pain you caused. I used to want you to regret losing me. Now I just hope I never regret finding myself. I closed the notebook, exhaling slowly. For the first time, the words didn't sting. They healed. The next morning, Daniel noticed the change. You're smiling. Should I be worried? Maybe, I said with a small grin. I think I finally made peace with my past. He chuckled. Took you long enough. Guess some ghosts take time to leave. That evening, as I walked home, I passed a couple arguing in the street, angry, desperate, holding on to something already broken. I froze for a moment, remembering how familiar that used to feel, but I didn't ache anymore. I just felt grateful. Grateful that I'd survived it. Later, lying in bed, I reread Sophie's message one last time before deleting it. Her words echoed in my mind. She's not happy. Maybe she wasn't. Maybe she never would be. But that was no longer my burden to carry. I whispered into the darkness, You lost me when you thought I was replaceable. I found myself when I stopped trying to be unforgettable. The city outside was quiet. My heart was too. For the first time, I didn't crave revenge or closure, or her apology. I just wanted tomorrow, and for once, that was enough. I hadn't planned to come back. London felt too small, too full of echoes. But Mom's birthday wasn't something I could miss. When I walked into the house, the scent of her cooking wrapped around me like old warmth. Ethan, she cried, pulling me into a hug. Hey, Mom, I said with a smile. Happy birthday. She beamed. You being here is the best gift. I helped her set the table, laughing at her stories, pretending the past was miles away. For a few hours it was until I heard her say, "Oh, look who's here." I turned and froze. Lila stood at the door, holding a small box of flowers. Her hair was shorter, her frame thinner. She looked like someone who hadn't slept in months. Mom smiled. She came to wish me too. You two remember each other, don't you? Lila's eyes met mine, and the room shrank. "Hi, Ethan," she whispered. "Hi," I managed, my throat tight. Mom, oblivious to the storm, said, "I'll get the cake ready. You two catch up." Then she disappeared into the kitchen. For a moment, silence ruled the air. I stared at the floor, then at her trembling hands. "You look different," I said quietly. "So do you," she replied, voice barely steady. "Stronger," let out a soft laugh. "That's one word for it." Her eyes shimmered. "I didn't know you'd be here." "Neither did I said. "Guess life likes surprises," she nodded, biting her lip. "You probably hate me." I sighed. "I don't hate you, Lila." She looked up, surprised. "You should." "Maybe once I did," I said. "But hate gets heavy after a while." Her voice cracked. "Ethan, I made a mistake." Those words hit like glass breaking. I stared at her, trying to read her face to see if it was guilt or nostalgia or just loneliness talking. "A mistake," I repeated slowly. "That's what you call it?" She flinched. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness." "I just wanted you to know I don't," I interrupted softly. "Don't say sorry. It won't change what happened." Tears slipped down her cheeks. "I thought I was choosing love. Turns out I was running from it." I felt my chest tighten. "Ryan," she gave a hollow laugh. "Gone. Took everything he could. Money, pride, even my peace. Guess karma finally found me. I wanted to feel triumphant, but I didn't. I just felt tired." "People warned me," she said quietly. "You were the only one who never did." "Because I believed you'd figure it out," I murmured. "And you did," she said, her eyes softening. "You became everything I used to dream you'd be." I swallowed hard. "Dreams change, do they?" she whispered. "Or do people just stop deserving them?" I didn't answer. "I COULD in single quotes, Mom," returned with candles, smiling unaware of the ghosts between us. "Come on, both of you, picture time." We stood beside each other, pretending to be fine, as she clicked the photo. Lila's hand brushed mine for a second, cold, trembling. When it was over, I muttered, "I should go." "Ethan," she called softly. I turned at the door. "Do you ever think about us?" she asked, her voice breaking. "Sometimes," I admitted, "but not the way you think." I remember what it taught me. And what did it teach you? I looked her in the eyes, the same eyes that once promised forever. That love isn't about staying. It's about healing, even if it means walking away. She nodded slowly, tears glistening. "I'm sorry it took losing you to understand that." I gave a faint smile. We all learned the hard way. That night, I sat on my childhood bed, staring at the photo Mom had taken me, smiling stiffly, Lila in the corner, fragile and faded. I thought about how I once begged the universe to give me this chance, one last moment with her. And now that it had, I didn't crave her love or her apology. I just felt peace. Maybe forgiveness wasn't about forgetting. Maybe it was about letting go of the weight you've carried too long. I whispered into the dark, "I forgive you, Lila. Not for you, for me." Outside, the wind moved softly through the trees, carrying the ghosts of yesterday away, and for the first time in years, I slept without dreams. It was a slow morning. I was halfway through my coffee when the news anchor's voice caught my attention. Breaking story: Ryan Clark, CEO of Clark Dynamics, under investigation for financial fraud. Sources confirm his business partner, Jake Turner, has turned over key evidence to authorities. The mug nearly slipped from my hand, Ryan. For a moment I thought I'd misheard. But his face appeared on the screen, sharp suit, forced smile, hand shielding his face from reporters. I leaned back, heart steady, almost to calm. Ava called seconds later. "Ethan, did you see it?" Yeah, I said. I'm watching now. Her voice buzzed with disbelief. Can you believe it? Jake exposed him. They say he's siphoned money from investors for years. I took a slow sip of coffee. Guess the truth always cashes its debts. Ava hesitated. You're not happy? I smiled faintly. Happiness isn't the word. Maybe relief, she sighed. You're handling this too well. I've had enough practice, I said quietly. The news continued. Ryan being led into a police car. Reporters shouting questions. Lila's name flashing in a side article. Sources say Clark's fiancée ends engagement amid scandal. Ava exhaled. She left him. I saw. She deserves the chaos she helped create, Ava muttered. Maybe, I said. But I don't need to watch it burn to know the fire's real. Later that day, I walked to the park, the same one where Lila and I used to sit when everything still felt simple. The autumn air was cold but freeing. An old man feeding pigeons looked up. Bad day, son? I chuckled. Strangely enough, no, I smiled. Then you've made peace with something. Maybe I have, I nodded knowingly. Peace doesn't come when people fall. It comes when you stop needing them too. I froze for a moment, the words hitting deeper than I expected. You're right, I said softly. Of course I am, he grinned. I've lived long enough to see karma take its time, but never fail its job. I smiled back. Yeah, I just saw that today. That evening, Ava showed up at my place. You've been quiet all day, she said, dropping onto the couch. You didn't even send me a meme. That's not like you. I laughed. Sorry, been thinking. She eyed me. About him? About everything, I said. Ryan, Lila, the way life circles back. Ava leaned forward. You could have ruined him years ago, Ethan. You had proof of what he did at the firm. But you didn't. I wanted to, I admitted. Back then I dreamed of making him crawl. But maybe I knew. The world has its own way of keeping score. She smiled faintly. And it finally cashed his check. Exactly. For a moment, silence filled the room. Then she asked if Lila called now, what would you say? I thought about it, her voice, her tears, the apology she once whispered. Nothing, I said finally. Some stories don't need epilogues. Ava nodded. That's growth, or exhaustion, I joked. Maybe both. She laughed, then turned serious. You know, you're not the same man who walked out of that restaurant years ago. I looked out the window. That man was broken. This one just learned how to bend. Later that night, I watched the replay of the news. Ryan, handcuffed. Leela, walking away from the courthouse, head down, no music played in my head. No satisfaction. Just silence. A clean, peaceful kind. I whispered, You took everything once. Now life took it back. Balance restored. The TV flickered, then went dark. I opened my journal again. Pen sliding easily across the page. I thought revenge was about making someone hurt. But it's really about letting go. Letting time and truth do what anger never could. Maybe the universe doesn't forget. It just waits for the right moment. Morning, boss. Liam grinned, holding 2 coffees as he walked into my office. I smirked. You're 5 minutes late. Traffic, he said quickly. Excuse. Took 1 cup anyway. You know what fixes traffic? He frowned. What? Leaving earlier, I said, sipping the coffee. He groaned. You sound exactly like Daniel. I chuckled. Good. That means you're learning from the right people. Daniel appeared at the door, smiling. And here I thought I was the only one allowed to lecture. Old habits, I said. You taught me well. He laughed. You've come a long way, Ethan. These kids look up to you now. I glanced at Liam, who was pretending not to eavesdrop. Yeah, I see that. Mostly because they think I'm scary. Daniel clapped my shoulder. Or because you've earned respect. After he left, Liam turned to me. Is it true you used to be like me? I raised a brow. Clueless and late? He grinned. Exactly. Yeah, I said quietly. But pain teaches discipline faster than success ever will. He tilted his head. Pain. Long story, I said, waving it off. Now focus on the presentation. No shortcuts, sir, he said, heading out. When he was gone, I smiled faintly. A few years ago, I was the one being mentored, broken, lost, angry. Now I was the one guiding others. Funny how time rewrites people. Later that evening, Ava dropped by my office. She leaned against the door, smiling. "Still here?" "Almost done," I said. "You know me. Can't stop until everything's perfect." "Perfection's overrated," she said, walking closer. "Peace looks better on you." I looked up from my desk. "You think I found it?" "I know you have," she said softly. "Your eyes don't carry storms anymore." I smiled. "Guess I ran out of thunder," she chuckled. "That's one way to put it." We sat in quiet for a moment, the hum of the city below filling the room. "You've changed, Ethan," she said. "You listen more. You laugh again. You live." "I had help," I said, meeting her gaze. She tilted her head. "Daniel." "No," I said. "You." Her smile faded into something gentler. "Me, you stayed," I said simply. "When everything fell apart, you didn't fix me. You just stood beside me." That meant more than anything. She looked down, blushing slightly. "I didn't do much. You did everything," I said. "You reminded me I still had something worth rebuilding." She exhaled slowly. "You've become the kind of man people can trust again." "Maybe," I said. "Or maybe I just stopped trying to prove I'm one," she smiled. "That's what makes it real." Later, we walked outside. The city lights shimmered, reflected in the glass towers around us. Ava spoke softly. "Do you ever think about them? Lila and Ryan?" I asked. She nodded. "Sometimes," I admitted. "But it's like remembering an old scar. It doesn't hurt, it just reminds me of how far I've come." Ava smiled faintly. "You really have." "Duh." "Yeah," I said. "I used to think love meant grand gestures, rings, promises, fireworks. But now," I paused. "Now I think love is quiet. It's showing up every day, even when it's not exciting." She looked at me, her eyes soft. "So what are we then?" "Maybe the quiet kind." Her hand brushed mine, hesitant, warm. "Quiet can be beautiful." "Can," I said. "Sometimes silence says everything words can't." We stood there for a while, the night wrapping around us like an old friend. The next morning, Daniel caught me by the elevator. "You've changed, Ethan," he said again. "You're lighter," I laughed. "Maybe that's what happens when you stop carrying ghosts," he grinned. "Or when you find someone who makes the wait feel worth it." I didn't deny it. When I walked back into the office, Liam greeted me with a salute. "Ready for another day, boss?" "Always," I said, smiling. "Let's make it count." As I watched him work, I realized something. I wasn't defined by betrayal anymore. Not by loss or revenge, or the scars left behind. I was defined by what I did after, by who I became, and for the first time in years, that was enough. The envelope lay on my desk, plain cream-colored, with my name written in handwriting I hadn't seen in years. Leela. For a long moment, I just stared at it. My fingers hesitated, hovering above the edge. Then I sighed and opened it. Inside was a single page, folded neatly, trembling slightly as if it carried her heartbeat. I started reading. "Ethan, I don't expect forgiveness. I just need to speak once, even if you never reply. I broke something I didn't know how to fix us. You gave me love I didn't deserve, and I repaid it with betrayal. I thought I wanted more, but I ended up with nothing. The silence between us hurts more than any argument ever did." I paused, exhaling. The words bled regret, but they didn't sting like they once would have. Ava's voice broke the quiet. "You okay?" I looked up. She stood in the doorway, concern soft in her eyes. "Yeah," I said. "Just old memories knocking." She walked in slowly. "From her?" I nodded, holding up the letter. "Do you want me to leave you alone?" She asked gently. "No," I said. "Stay." She sat across from me, watching quietly as I kept reading. Ryan's gone. His empire collapsed. and I've spent years rebuilding the pieces of myself I shattered. I don't expect redemption, but I hope you found happiness, the kind I couldn't give." A faint smile tugged at my lips. She finally said the words. "What words?" Ava asked. "That she knows what she lost. Does it make you feel better?" I thought for a second. "It makes me feel nothing. Nothing." "Yeah," I said. "There was a time when I'd have wanted this. Her apology, her regret. But now it's just paper. The person who wrote it doesn't exist anymore. Neither does the version of me who needed it." Ava leaned forward. "So what will you do with it?" I turned the letter over in my hands. "I'll finish it first. I used to replay that night over and over, the look in your eyes when you realized what I'd done. I hated myself for it. I still do. If I could undo it, I would. But I can't. So instead, I write this not to win you back, not to justify anything, but to say I'm sorry, truly." I folded the paper slowly. Feeling the weight of her words fade with each crease, Ava watched me in silence. "She's not the villain anymore," said. "She's just human. Do you forgive her?" Ava asked. I looked toward the window, the evening light slipping through the blinds. "Yeah, I think I do." Her brows lifted slightly. "That's big. It's time," I said quietly. "Forgiveness isn't about her. It's about me letting go." I stood, walked to the small metal tray on my desk, and set the letter inside. Ava stood beside me. "You're really going to burn it?" I nodded. "It's not hate. It's closure." The flame from my lighter caught the edge of the paper. Slowly, the fire spread, curling the words into black and gold. For a moment, her handwriting shimmered in the glow, then turned to ash. I whispered, "I don't hate you anymore, Lila." Ava glanced at me. "What did you say?" "Nothing," I murmured. "Just goodbye." We watched in silence as the ashes turned gray and drifted up like tiny ghosts, disappearing into the air. Later that night, I stood on my balcony, the city lights stretching endlessly below. The wind carried a faint chill, clean, quiet, free. Ava stepped beside me, her voice soft. "You seem lighter." "I am," I said. "It's strange. For years I wanted revenge, justice, closure. But it turns out, peace doesn't come when someone says sorry. It comes when you stop needing them too." She smiled faintly. "You finally let go." "Yeah," I said. "I used to think burning the past meant destruction. Now I realize it's rebirth." She leaned on the railing beside me. "You really don't hate her?" I looked at the sky, at the faint trail of smoke still drifting upward. "No, I just hope she finds peace, like I finally did." Ava reached for my hand, her touch gentle, grounding. I squeezed it lightly. "You know what's funny?" "What?" Her letter ended something that started my whole journey. "Life's ironic like that," Ava smiled. "Or maybe that's how stories close quietly, when we stop needing an ending." I exhaled, feeling the last of the weight lift from my chest. The ashes were gone. The ghosts were silent, and for the first time in years, so was my heart. The ocean stretched endlessly before me, the waves murmuring like they knew my story. I sat on the damp sand beside Ava, watching the sky fade from gold to deep blue. "It's peaceful here," she said softly, her voice nearly blending with the wind. "Yeah," I murmured. "Funny how silence used to scare me. Now it feels like home." She smiled, tilting her head toward me. "You used to hate quiet places." I admitted. "Back then, silence meant thinking, and thinking meant pain. And now it means I survived." We sat in stillness for a while, listening to the ocean breathe. The waves rolled in and out like time itself, patient, endless. Ava brushed her fingers through the sand. "Do you ever think about her?" "Sometimes," I said honestly. "Not the way I used to. It's more like remembering a dream that doesn't hurt anymore." "Oh." She nodded. "You really forgave her, didn't you?" "Yeah," I said, smiling faintly. "Forgiveness isn't something you give once. It's something you practice every time you remember." She looked out at the horizon. "And Ryan." He taught me what I didn't want to become, I said. For that, I'm oddly grateful. Grateful? She asked, surprised. I chuckled. If they hadn't broken me, I'd still be living small, thinking loyalty alone made love last. Pain changes people, she whispered. It does, I said. But it also reveals who we were meant to be. I lost everything, Ava, but I found myself. Oh. She smiled gently. And what did you find? That I don't need revenge or validation or closure from anyone else, I said. Peace isn't given, it's built, a seagull cried above us, circling before fading into the dusk. I watched it disappear. You ever wonder what would have happened if none of that ever occurred? She asked all the time, I said. But then I remind myself, if life had gone according to plan, I wouldn't be here with you. She blushed faintly, lowering her eyes. You'll always know what to say. I used to say the wrong things, I replied. Now I just speak from the scars. We both laughed quietly, the sound blending with the tide. After a long pause, Ava said, You've changed, Ethan. You're calmer now. Like you've made peace with every version of yourself. I have, I said. The broken one, the angry one, the lost one. They all built the man I am now. She looked at me, her eyes reflecting the fading sunlight. So, no regrets? None, I said. Regret traps you in yesterday. I'm done living there. Her hand brushed mine, tentative but warm. You think forever exists? I thought for a long moment before answering. Maybe not the way we imagine it. Maybe forever isn't about time. Maybe it's about learning to love without losing yourself. She smiled. That sounds like something you'd write in your journal. I laughed softly. Maybe I already did. She leaned her head on my shoulder, and we watched the last streak of sunlight vanish beneath the waves. I used to think love was about holding on, I said quietly. Now I know it's also about letting go of fear, of anger, of the idea that everything has to last. Ava whispered, Maybe that's why this feels different. You don't chase it. You live it. Because I learned love isn't a promise of forever. It's a presence in the moment. The ocean roared softly, echoing the rhythm of my thoughts. After a while, she asked, If you could tell your younger self one thing, what would it be? I smiled. That pain isn't the end of your story. It's the start of your awakening. And would he believe you? I laughed quietly. Not a chance. He'd roll his eyes and say I was being dramatic. Then what changed? I stopped running from the hurt, I said. I faced it. And somewhere in the middle of all that wreckage, I found peace. The breeze shifted, carrying the scent of salt in new beginnings. Ava whispered, You really found your forever, didn't you? I looked at her, at the warmth in her eyes, the quiet steadiness that had anchored me through storms. Yeah, I said. But not in a person. In a state of being. She smiled knowingly. And yet, here I am. Exactly, I said. You stayed when everything else fell apart. Maybe that's what forever really means. The people who remain when the noise fades. She squeezed my hand gently, and we sat in silence again. The sky darkened completely, the stars waking one by one. I breathed in deeply, feeling the cool air fill my lungs. This feels like the end of a chapter, Ava murmured. It is, I said, but not the end of the story. She looked at me curiously. Then what comes next? Life, I said. The quiet kind. The kind that doesn't need proving. We watched the waves roll under the moonlight, infinite and calm, and as I sat there, I realized I wasn't chasing forever anymore. I was already living it.